Hello everyone, Professor Tolentino here, lecturing on late life and death from a developmental psychology lens. So today's topics are physical, cognitive, and socio-emotional changes that we witness in late life, as well as end-of-life issues and death. As you know, in developmental psychology, we view human life as unfolding as a series of distinct stages, each with their own physical, cognitive, and developmental characteristics from womb to tomb. The focus of today's lecture is on the experiences, needs, and motivations of people in the late life stage, as well as in the process of dying. In the mid-1900s, people lived to be about 55 years old on average. In 2021, that number has increased to about 75 years old in most countries. So, the late life stage is becoming ever longer, itself consisting of two categories or subcategories. The third age, from 60 to 80 years old, and the fourth age, 80 plus. So the young old and the oldest old. For the third age or the young old, there's mostly good news. Both scientific and technological advances have made it possible for this age group to enjoy a better quality of life, mostly free of disease and with an improved mental and physical fitness. Whereas for the fourth age or the oldest old, this is not exactly the case. There have been very few interventions that have made it possible for this age group to enjoy a disease-free and quality aging. So, when we talk about this stage of life with its two subcategories, it's important to keep in mind the concept of life expectancy or longevity, as it is commonly referred to as well. Here we have two distinct sub-concepts: average versus useful life expectancy. Average life expectancy is the age at which half of all the people born in a certain year are expected to die, right? So this is the age at which half of the people born in a particular year will die. Whereas useful life expectancy refers to longevity that is free from debilitating and chronic disease. Yeah? So do we want to live long lives or do we want to live long quality lives is basically the contrast here. In the US, life expectancy is about 80 years old for women and about 75 for men. So what determines how long we live? Well, unfortunately, we are not quite at the level of immortal jellyfish yet. That's a thing. Look it up. But there are a few things that we can do to improve our life expectancy, some more under our control than others. So for example, we can't really choose our parents or our heredity, our genetics, which have a huge impact on how long we live, especially for those age 100 and older. Genetics, heredity is very important. However, we do somewhat have control over our environment and lifestyle. Environment refers to things, for example, like living in a pollution-free area, free of toxins in our bodies. Lifestyle, of course, refers to diet, exercise, and avoidance of risky behaviors, right? And then, of course, we have socioeconomic status, and this refers mainly to income, education, and occupation. And this is the key to a longer life, mainly through access to healthcare. So the higher your income, which is correlated to your level of education, then the more access you have to healthcare. So Those are some of the factors that impact longevity and quality of life to a certain extent as well. There are many changes that occur in the physical domain in late life. Specifically, in the realm of the senses or sensory changes, we start to see some changes actually occurring in middle age, in the 40s and 50s. For example, in vision, there tends to be a decline in people's ability to see close objects and to see objects with high acuity or with sharpness. So you've probably witnessed the middle-aged or elderly person doing the whole squinting thing, right? And trying to place objects farther away. This is mainly due to what we call presbyopia, or the inability to see close objects, for example, in small print and on a computer screen or a page. Presbyopia is mainly due to the lens, or the part of the eye that focuses light on the back of the eye, the retina. The lens loses its agility and it becomes more rigid, so it doesn't bend as much and therefore doesn't focus light as well. We also start to see cataracts, which are these opaque spots in the lens of the eye, mainly due to an accumulation of protein. These are some of the reasons and some of the specific changes that we see in vision in old age. We also see some changes in audition or hearing. Typically, individuals in late life start to lose the ability to hear high-pitched sounds, like female voices, for example, or children's voices. And this is most common in men than women. Finally, we also see changes in the chemical senses, mainly due to the loss of taste buds and olfactory receptors, so in the tongue and in the nose. And this may be responsible for what you may have witnessed in grandma or grandpa, preferring sweets more often and maybe seasoning or salting their food more than they used to. So these are some changes that we see in individuals in old age. Aside from a decline in sensory abilities, the elderly also experience changes in their skeletal system. For example, with osteoporosis, which also may begin in middle age, usually does begin in middle age, we see a weakening of the bones, essentially. They become less dense and more brittle, therefore more prone to fractures. A related condition is osteoarthritis, and here, instead of the bones themselves, it's more about the cartilages that connect the bones, and we see a wear and tear of those. Rheumatoid osteoarthritis is an autoimmune condition that results in very painful inflammation or swelling of the joints, as we see here in this picture. So these are some of the physical changes that we may see in the elderly. Just to give you an idea of how an 85-year-old person might see the world, this is how it may look like. For example, if they're looking at a medicine cabinet or at print on a page or on a screen. So they're going to need more lighting. They're going to need adjustments to be made, for example, in font on their smartphones, or have specialized devices that, like the jitterbug, that just displays big font and does fewer things because of other cognitive reasons as well. Adapted road signs. In the case of hearing loss, we could have carpeting at home to absorb the sound, and just generally as a society, we could make alterations in terms of having better sidewalks, more accessibility, better public transportation, as opposed to having the elderly drive themselves. So these are some solutions that we could have both individually and as a society to address these physical changes that tend to occur in old age.